Hello, hello. Welcome to day 2 of the Longevity Lounge. I am so excited for our guest today, Dr. Stephanie Rimka. It's going to be absolutely amazing. So grab yourself a drink of choice. It is morning here, so I've got my coffee going, my carnivore coffee with eggs and butter and all kinds of deliciousness in it. And I am going to just make sure that we are streaming to all the places. So give me a minute, but definitely say hi. Let me know where in the world you are calling in from. And I'd love to welcome you. This is my first time using StreamYard because I used to always just go live in my groups from Zoom, and who knows about how that no longer works anymore, which is such a pain. So I am using StreamYard for the first time and looks like it's working, which is kind of cool. Just got to get it live streamed into the group now. It's not letting me share to the group, which is really annoying. Hi, Anne. Hi, Janice. Well, that's totally bizarre that it is not letting me share to the Facebook group. Definitely do not like that. Maybe I can do it from my phone. Say hi, say hi. Oh, there she is.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
This whole not being able to Zoom into Facebook groups is the most ridiculous thing.
Listen, I don't understand. I'm like trying to every time. And now when I started doing it, I'm like, no wonder I've seen Leah's face, like doing all this and you're doing all this and clicking. Who does it benefit? You know what I mean? Like,
you know what's great about that though? You can tell that I've had no Botox in 3 years, which is so fitting, I feel like, for this call. Let me just try one thing. I'm gonna see if I can share it from my.
StreamYard was supposed to make it like super easy, I thought.
I know. That's why I'm like, why is this?
I just told my team today, I'm like, I think we need to look into StreamYard.
Oh, okay. We got in there. We did it. It's just new tech, you know, like
no, it takes some time.
It does have to be live on my business page though. I've yet to figure out like how to just get it into the group.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. We're here. Hi. How are you?
Fantastic. I make it like that.
I'm so excited for this call. I've been so excited about this for like the last 24 hours.
Man, well, okay. I wish I had time to kind of like prep a little bit more, like with some factoids, but we're going to go with what we're going to go with.
No, it's always good. I think it's always good. I always enjoy having conversations with you. And I think for me, what I enjoy about the conversations is that typically like we're just riffing, right? We're just chatting, we're talking, and whatever's going to come up is going to come up. So first and foremost, I just want to, first of all, thank you. I know that you're incredibly busy. I know you were like on a call just before this and your schedule is totally insane because you are in such high demand. So I really appreciate you coming not once, but twice to this event this week. We have so many like incredible things that we want to talk about, but I do just want to share that I found Dr. Rimka at a point in my health journey where I was kind of at the lowest of my low. And somebody that follows me online actually sent me your profile, and I wish I could remember who it was. So if you're watching this, thank you so much, and remind me of who you are so that I can thank you properly. But somebody sent me your profile and said, hey, have you checked out this woman? I came to your page and I like instantly fell in love with you because I love just how we're a lot alike in just like you are, how to the point.
Oh, look at myself with the short hair.
Totally. Yeah, both from Michigan. I mean, there was all these synergies, right? So, but I followed you in silence, basically, like as I was going through my health journey, and so much of what you shared helped me so much. You were definitely a place that I went to look for support with my endocrine system, with my carnivore journey, and, you know, and then also just the work that you do was so dear to my heart because I do have a son who has SPD, and one of your specialties is working with kids with things like sensory processing disorder and who are on the spectrum. And I just admired your work. Like I really admired your bravery and your willingness to, work with the people that most people don't want to work with. And I resonated with that because in my addiction treatment journey, my mom was the therapist that worked with all the people that had been to all the treatment centers and had no hope. And so those were the people that in my facilities, I got into my facilities as well. So there were just so many points of resonance with you. And I will never forget the day you shared something, a different company that we actually like connected and became a part of. You shared something and I reached out to you in Messenger and I'm like, you're probably going to think I'm crazy, but I need to be involved in this. You don't know who I am, like blah, blah, blah. And the rest was history. Like we just became friends since then. And I'm so incredibly grateful for our friendship. But that's just a little bit about how Stephanie came into my world. So
thank you. I love the shout out, like as evidence of, I had somebody send a nasty message. Well, I'm sure Dr. Rimka won't even see this. I know she doesn't even do her social media. I'm like, hey ho, how you doing? It would be me. What's happening? Like I am actually, like I do actually have conversations, you know. I can't do everything all day long. I'm like, well, yes, I have to have people in there because I see patients for like 8 hours a day. And then like somebody's there to help answer your question. And then I come in and then, so don't hate me. It's like they get mad if you have staff in the DMs, but then they don't, I don't know, like I can't win either way with you. Like, but I was like, yes, I'm here. How can I help you? But I'm also not going to read your labs for free in my messages. So you do need to go through my office for paid consultations. Like that's, you know, they get mad. So I'm like, yeah, I love that. Didn't think you were crazy at all. I was like, no, what's up? You know, and, you know, thank you for those kind words. And it, you know, I've been doing this a long time. I've been in this field 30 years. And when I went into some of the online space and stuff, I did it very reluctantly. And it had to be convinced, doctors saying like, you'll help so many more people because you say the same thing all day long, all week long. What if you just recorded it and then you could just get it to the parents and you could just send it out? And I'm like, oh, that would be fantastic, actually, because I do say the same thing all day long. You know, like you just say the same thing. So what if we could shortcut the amount of visits and the amount of money because we could educate them ahead of time and whatever, and maybe make, they don't even need to come in, you know, because I can just say, well, why don't you just do this, you know? And the messages I get from people like you that I helped them and they've never given me a dime, you know, they've never become a patient. They never even took a course, you know, and I offer all those things, but that they can just, they put the effort in to watch and listen and study and make some of the free suggestions. And by just taking action, took control and became so empowered in their own journey and their body, you know, took sovereignty over themselves. It means a lot because ultimately that's all I want to, I just have always, since I was 3, like I need my life to have significance. And it needs to be that it's in service. Like if I can't be useful, I don't want to be here. And sometimes it doesn't mean it has anything to do with people giving you money. It's like, oh my God, like I help people that I don't even know that I help. But it's
can't even imagine
nice to hear.
You help. Like,
yeah, nice to hear. My brothers are both contractors. They work with their hands and like, you know, do roofing and HVAC and build things and fix things. And they go, they can see it. And they're like, so how do you ever know if you do anything? They're like, we couldn't do what you do. It's like, you never know. I said, well, I kind of do. I mean, the kid doesn't talk and it talks, and the kid had ADHD and doesn't have ADHD. They're on drugs or not on drugs, but you're right. There's a lot that I do, and then it just goes away. And I don't know 10 years, 20 years, always what happens necessarily. And there's a lot I do that, no, it's not like putting on a roof. I don't just, job's done and I walk away. Health is not like that. So they're like, yeah, I could never do what you do. How do you know you even what you do works? That's a good point. I mean, I gotta find my points on the line that what I'm doing is worthwhile. But yeah, you have a point. Like I'm not fixing roofs. No. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to dive in, and I'm glad we're actually doing this on StreamYard, so we're going to be able to capture it in case it gets taken down, but we're not going to hold back. We're just going to say whatever we want to say, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so the first thing that I really want to talk to you about, because as you know, like I have done all the things to my body that I shouldn't have done, basically. Like I know that you're a huge fan of tattoos, for example. So I have tattoos all over my body. I think I shocked you when I told you that I started doing Botox preventatively at 23 years old. We're going to talk about that in a minute. I wanted to open this call talking about breast plant illness because I got my boobs done in 2021. I waited all that time, all those years till 2021. And it's so funny because I'm like the person that is like no tox chemicals in my house.
Yeah. I'm sure all your essential oils are organic.
But I put Botox and filler in my face, and I put implants in my body. So I just want to hear from you, because this is one of those things that like I'm in the place where I'm considering explant surgery. I think you've got a pretty good handle and understanding on the health issues that I've had. My health completely bottomed out and crashed in 2022. So I had COVID 3 times, or whatever that virus, you know what I'm saying. I got sick 3 times, tested positive for COVID, had gotten my boobs done. I was doing all kinds of filler and injectables. I was living in a house with mold. So it was this perfect storm, I think, that led to this. So I want to know, how much are you seeing breast plant illness? And do you think I should get I know you're already going to say I should get them taken out, but like, is this something like, I feel like I've gotten to this place where I've really built my health back. I feel amazing. And yet there's still just some lingering things.
Well, when you came to the States, you had the brief little trip. We were trying to see each other, and you came back extremely inflamed. And what you did shouldn't have really done that. I'm like, what are you talking about? Why are you feeling that sick? Because you ate American meat? It shouldn't feel like that. I eat American meat all the time. I don't feel like that. Right? What are you talking about? I was like, okay, Leah. But it was okay because, you needed to kind of assign a target blame on something. And when we're like this, it's like, I need you to open it up eventually. But the person's own system starts to peel things back and wants to see things a little bit differently, or any holistic provider.
From here on out, you have my full permission to be like, take the implants out.
I started kind of into the breast implant illness journey probably really 15 years ago or so is when I started putting the pieces together, right? I didn't notice it or ask about it before that point in my practice, but many of these women were coming in with, so I'm board certified in neurofeedback, and a lot of people come to me for various biofeedback, neurofeedback, primarily mental health issues, right? Anxiety, panic, depression, pain modulation, seizures. So body pain, even fibromyalgia, that pain is in the brain. So if we can break that up, chronic pain and phantom limb syndrome, things like that, they're in the brain. So neurofeedback is extraordinary for pain issues, suicidal ideation, things like that. Well, as I was going through histories, case histories, going my first visit being a few hours long, eventually it wasn't like the standard. I wasn't looking for it, but it was always points on the line. The breast implants were there, and like I watched the whole health journey get destroyed, and they were not making the connection at all. And sometimes it was so obvious, like A plus B. I was like, do you not see what this, right? They're like, what? And I'm like, okay, let's go back and reverse engineer this, so you never had a panic attack in your whole life. No, I don't even know what's going on. You love your husband, you love your kids, like like all of these, life is fantastic. Suddenly 3 months after breast implants, you wake up with panic attacks 3 times a week out of nowhere. You have no idea why. And you're fatigued, you have migraines, whatever. And they're like, what do you think it could be? I don't know. What do you think it could be? So it became like, am I really having this conversation? So I reached out to a few plastic surgeons I knew, and one in particular here in Atlanta was pretty famous, Dr. Susan Kolb, since been disbarred. So the American Medical Association came after her so hard because she got to the point, we worked right with her, and she would test people and go through this whole thing. So I kind of was able to say, I started running some tests, and some labs were showing some markers. I'm like, look, this is showing it's neurotoxicity, and I could do neurofeedback on you. Maybe that'll resolve it temporarily because I'm changing the neuroplasticity of your brain, but I'm really concerned it's probably going to come back because the root cause is poison inside of you and your body trying to deal with this medical device that's been implanted that's not supposed to be there, that is clearly causing havoc. Now, I didn't know everything about them, and I don't even know everything about them now, but I certainly didn't know 15 years ago what I know today. So I just knew enough to know this is what's the deal. And then I started becoming the first doctor to tell them it's the breast implants, and I think you need to get them out. I'm going to send you to a plastic surgeon. This is her specialty. I'll let her make that decision. After 3 to 4 years of working with her, she called me one day. I just need to let you know, you can stop sending them to me for an evaluation. I'm no longer evaluating. Coming out. I'm done with this game. End of story. I don't even do a consultation. They're having a surgical consult because I do nothing but take them out now. They're that bad. And so Susan just changed her whole practice. I'll never put them in. I'm only taking them, specialist and end block and doing the whole thing. And she goes, and I help with detox. And I'm like, okay, well, I can detox, so like I started focusing on the detox part and the neurofeedback afterwards to deal with the anxiety, depression, some of the self-esteem issues. But what I really focused on, yes, I had to detox them, and that's going to be an 8 to 12 month minimum process, usually 2 or 3 years actually, to gently really open this up. My bigger concern at that point was I want to deal with and address what is the mindset scripts that made you think you ever needed to alter your body in that way. Because nobody comes out as a little girl and says, I can't wait till I grow up and they can surgically put bigger breasts in me. Nobody does that. So something happens in our learning that something is wrong with us to the point we need to invest $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 and put artificial manufactured things that are not human or not endogenous to us at all to alter what we look like. And I'm more concerned with what's the wound. What's the people-pleasing motivation that made that happen? And that's what I want to get to. So no woman, no little girl, that little girl inside that thought she needed to do that to win bodybuilding competitions or to be more feminine or be sexier or make more money or whatever story that is driving that I help eliminate that. So some other behaviors don't replace that was driving that. To me, what I consider self-mutilation. So I'm like, I am concerned with that and the identification of once somebody gets really breast implant illness, which is not recognized at all. Like that's not an illness to medicine. That's fake. There's no diagnostic code for that. You can't put that anywhere. So that's like not a real thing. So most people with it are usually often diagnosed Epstein-Barr, Lyme, mold illness, that can be put there, MS, autoimmune, everything, Hashimoto's, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia. Those are the most common. MS is really common as well. So I think whether you want to call it misdiagnosis or just we don't know what to call it, they just refuse. There's no such thing as breast implant illness. I'm there to help detox and recover, but I'm really more fascinated with the mindset and the unconscious script driving the behavior so we don't do other behaviors that are unconsciously repeating that pattern, feeding into that wound. And once somebody has some kind of diagnosis and they're calling it breast implant illness, let's say, I'm very, 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 very concerned and trying to make sure you don't claim, identify, and own that diagnosis, own the name, own the illness. Because once you start saying something, my Hashimoto's, my cancer, my breast plant illness, my mold illness, my trauma, my sexual, my rape, as soon as that starts happening with the my, I know you're creating a permanence in the system that sometimes surgery and detox will never overcome because you're telling the body, but it's mine, like my hand. And the body's like, then I can't get rid of it because it's a part of me. So I'm going to make sure we keep it because it's clearly important because you keep telling everybody it's yours. So that's where I really come in. Hang on, you're muted. You're muted.
Because my dogs were barking in the background. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, one of the things that has been so interesting is that in whatever that decision to change everything was, I had a real realization that I was identifying with all this sickness. Like, and I was in full acceptance of, like, I just thought that's always how it was going to be. Like, listening to you talk, it's so fascinating because I got my breast implants. I split up with my husband 6 months later. I was depressed for the first time ever that I can remember in my life. And then all this stuff started happening. So that's interesting. And the process of getting the implants, I actually went for a reduction. So I got a reduction in the lift because I was having all this back stuff going on, right? And
like,
then the doctor was like, yeah. And so then the doctor was like, we'll just put a small implant in. It's going to look better. And I was like, okay. Like, without even, you know what I mean? I was like, I need to get rid of these enormous boobs that are hurting my back. Like, and, you know, nursing my last son 3.5 years were basically hanging down to my waist and just uncomfortable, you know? And it's just like that. I was so not in touch with myself and zoned out in my life at that point. And all I was focused on was making money and work, that I was just like, oh, yep, the doctor said do that. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. And I even had the thought, like a few days before the surgery, like maybe I should just get the lift. And then I was like, nah, it's already scheduled. Like they're already ordered. And then I just went ahead with it, you know?
It sounds like, you know, up to 50% of women know right before they walk down the aisle, they don't want to marry that man. But they literally go, but it's already done. It's all these people are going to be there. I don't want to disappoint all of them and the money my parents spent or whatever. So they talk and they damn well know they don't want to do it. That's what that sounded like. I'm like, and there it is.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's just interesting to me, like what you're saying about the, like my, and I think this is really important for everyone that's listening, because I think this is the thing that I did. Like I started looking at my life and I was like, this is bullshit. Like, I'm not going to live like this anymore. I'm sick of this. There is another way. And even with the stopping drinking alcohol, I shared a little bit about this when I shared my full story yesterday, but I come from 2 long lines of raging alcoholism and drug addiction.
Yeah.
And while I never became an alcoholic or an addict, not for lack of trying, certainly, I was a social drinker. And when I chose to stop, but I was absolutely, in hindsight, numbing all of my emotions with alcohol. And when I chose to stop that, like when I chose to actually be like, no, drinking isn't a part of my identity. It doesn't have to be a part of my identity. There was so much freedom in it because I could feel like I literally broke this identity that I held. Yeah. And it was like, no.
Well, it's
and
the
then
courage
people are like,
to be
you want to have a drink? And I'm like, I have no desire for it now. It's not, and I'm not saying I'll never drink again, but it's just like, there is literally no desire.
Yeah. So there's a few things. Well, the next talk, we're not going to talk about methylation because it's too complicated right now.
We'll talk about it on the next call. The next call
about I can explain that whole thing. Yeah, why it runs in your family. Let's just talk about that journey, because you are going to end up getting your breast implants out. That's where this is headed. And that is going to come from, you are not going to be able to fight the way your soul is pulling you into deeper embodiment. You are being pulled into more association, embodiment. I don't want to be disconnected. I want full soul presence in this physical avatar. I want to merge these so beautifully so I can have full experience. And when 2020, the COVID went down, the whole pandemic situation, I was already seeing it ramping up. I was telling people, I said, look, I'm going to tell you, women are walking in left and right. They're saying, I don't know what it is. I need these things out. They were not sick. They are not suffering. All they knew was, this is not self. I will not tolerate not being my authentic self anymore. Get this shit out of me. That's what was happening in my practice left and right. Women were coming in like, I need help. Like, I'm just looking to be better. And I want to age like powerfully. I want to come into my divine feminine is really what they were saying. And they were looking to just kind of up level themselves versus coming in with severe pathology all the time. I was getting these 2 very distinct groups then. It was like, oh, getting these peak performing women, which I really hadn't seen before. I was only seeing men like that. And when 2020, you know, COVID lockdown stuff happened, I was probably on 200 different interviews and podcasts with, Judy Mikovits and all the, vaccine people, all of us, anti-vax crew, old school crew, were getting loud finally coming out of the closets. We've all been hiding in our closets for a long time to keep our licenses. But at that point we said, game on, gauntlets down. We're going to have to risk death at this point because this is about to be a murderous nightmare. If we don't, we have to save whoever will live. Handcuffs were off. I was thrown off Twitter 4 times. I was thrown off Instagram 3 times. I was, it just was like, here we go. My stripe was taken away. I mean, it was bad. They were, really trying to hurt us. It did hurt, but, we had to keep kind of going. And I said in many interviews, I said, I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to watch an uprising of women that will no longer tolerate. You're going to see plastic surgeons' doors being knocked down. Get this shit out of me. All like the inner knowing of, I don't want this. It's not me. I no longer identify with this artificial stuff. I want to be my authentic self. And if that means I'm flat chested or have a scar, so be it. And if he doesn't love me, I don't give a shit. I'll find someone who does. It was like a total different reclaiming of the body, a reclaiming of the feminine, and saying, I won't make a caricature of the feminine. I won't bastardize the feminine. I won't avoid the feminine. I will accept her and all her, glory of stretch marks, of nipples down to the knees. I don't give a shit. I'm not willing to do this anymore. They were letting the hair go gray. It was just like, you know what? I like being at home in a bra. I like just
You're gonna fix it. You're gonna
talk about that. We can talk about that. Let's talk about the peptides. So I knew that was coming. I said it, and then it's just been game on. I mean, it's so much of it. So, and what it takes to be there is such a level of it's really embodiment. So getting over stress, getting over trauma, the first phase is you have to feel it to heal it, and really. Alcohol, video games, porn, Netflix too much, even meditation. People meditate to dissociate. They will do things, their spiritual practices to avoid feeling, to avoid being in the body, to avoid dealing with stuff, because sometimes dealing with stuff is uncomfortable. So what you're saying, what you're telling me, you're like, I stopped drinking and I feel like I'm trying to feel. I'm trying to be in my body. I'm trying to be present to myself, to the ups and downs, the valleys and the mountain peaks of that. But to feel the greatest bliss, sometimes you must feel the greatest pain. And if you're always avoiding that, you're never going to have that either. So that's where you're headed. And that's where I think I think we are on 2 very different tracks. I think we have people who are coming into embodiment and association and up-leveling and coming into being in communion with themselves and therefore other people, being truthful with themselves or being truthful in their relationships. You cannot be your authentic self full of implants and fillers. It's an oxymoron. Right. So there may be 1 or 2 spiritual exceptions on this earth that can get around it. But in general, that's not, and people will maneuver their private logic all kinds of ways if they want. It's still the consequences of the consequences. So it makes total sense that that's what's happening and where you're headed. And where I go, like, especially with your mold illness story, let's be real clear. As soon as any breast implant goes in anybody, we have problems. Natural killer cells decrease by 40%. They're a medical device with a 7 to 10 year life. That's how long they're supposed to last. Within 7 to 11 years, 40% of all of them rupture in some sort. The capsule is, the body creates this adhesive capsule around because it's trying to sequester the poison. All of them are silicone, and silicone with an E is an unnatural substance that is leaching off, absolutely is spreading in everybody's body. You don't have to have a rupture. The silicone is absolutely getting out. Endocrine disruptor, HPA axis disruptor, causes stress in the system, lowers the immune system tragically. So would you have ever had mold illness if you didn't have those in? Maybe not. Plus I do know you have MTHFR SNPs, which may, not necessarily, but you have a percentage-wise decreased enzymatic activity and decreased methylation pathways, most likely. So you put an implant of a poison, which they're all loaded with tin, by the way. That's part of their process. So people don't know that they're getting, the heavy metal tin, and they're also all loaded with platinum. So everyone that's happening. And there was this horrific case in France that they were passing, they basically a spot inspection because Europe had like no regulation on their breast implants because everybody assumed they were doing a better job than us. Well, they were using rocket fuel in them because it was cheaper, because you could buy that it was a waste product. So the companies would pay them to take it from them. So they were getting paid to fill implants with rocket fuel, and they were putting them in women. Can you imagine?
So stay tuned for the explant journey.
Right. So I was giving you an idea, like when the people, you hear those horrific stories, they were people that were getting really tainted, crazy, awful. But how do you know that you're not one of those? So what is always around those capsules? Mold. So even in people who don't get mold illness, it's fungus, yeast, and mold in all those capsules because the body's sequestering it away. I can only imagine how much mold are in the capsules around your breasts. Okay. And then listen, and so where the place where it is, fatty tissue full of vasculature, nerves, and lymphatics. It's a fast path to spreading it all over your body.
Okay, maybe I didn't want to have this conversation. We
can go about something else.
And then I'm like, but I do feel like this rocket fuel thing is a really great segue to our next topic, which is my favorite topic to talk about these days, seed oils and Bobby Kennedy. So I know that you are, I guess I would say, optimistically hopeful that Bobby Kennedy is going to come in and make some real changes to our health reality in the. I want to speak to you specifically endocrine disruptors, because I think that, that's the place for me with him that I'm so excited that he's beginning to talk. So the seed oils, the micro experiencing from an endocrine disruption perspective. So I just want to hear from you. What are the top 5 things, if you were to give 5 things that we would just be diligent about removing from our lives? And this will segue into our Botox and Rimka conversation, obviously, because I know that some of this is going to be the chemicals that are in our beauty products, right? But what are the 5 things that you're like, get rid of these things in your life? Like, these are the things that you need to absolutely say no to from an endocrine disruption perspective. And maybe also just share, like, I know that you're already seeing this because you and I've had this conversation about how much of this is showing up in your practice. Like,
it's everything. I mean, I don't know what is this at this point, because our biggest issue is just being poisoned to death, like the toxicity issue. So, 5 things. Okay. I didn't know this question was coming. So I'm maybe not saying, I may not do the order right, but let's at least.
No, that's good. I'm putting you on the spot because I'm like, just with all your experience, and
the first thing that popped in my head is what I want to say, but I'm going to go back and say probably my most important thing, if I only get one chance to say it, stop vaccinating yourself and your children.
Yeah.
So done. All right. So the number 1 would be vaccines. Every single damn one.
So I just want to clarify here, because I know that you're anti-vaccine. Do you believe, you believe that no vaccine on the market right now is safe?
There is not a single vaccine on the market that is safe nor effective.
Okay.
They're not safe or effective.
Okay.
I'll double down on it. They don't stop any infectious disease.
So stop jabbing yourself and your children with anything.
Correct. So that would be the number 1 poisonous endocrine disrupting. You want endocrine disruptors? They're in those in spades. I don't think there's anything full of more endocrine disrupting. I can't come up with a more hideous or heinous or evil plot than to put genetic material of the opposite sex in little babies. I don't know. You want to confuse somebody as to what gender they are, just start and inject them with other people's chromosomes. Seems pretty easy to me. Start injecting them with BPA, start injecting them with glyphosate, start injecting them with plastic. It's what they're doing. And you pay them to do it. Yeah. That's how they get their Mercedes. Yep. None of you read the inserts. None of you read the studies.
That's why I stopped.
Nobody who does it injects their baby. Nobody who reads an insert or reads a study ever does it. Why they like to say anti-vaxxers they like to act like we're stupid. The average education level of an anti-vaxxer is a PhD. that's who doesn't do it. You know?
That's interesting. I told a story yesterday about getting pregnant with my first son. I was living in California at the time, had a high risk pregnancy, was referred to a celebrity OBGYN, who then referred me to a celebrity pediatrician who was an anti-vax pediatrician and literally said, here's these 10 books, go read them during your pregnancy. And if you choose not to vaccinate, you can join my practice. And I was saying that everyone's children, like every celebrity that you know of that has children's, that lived in LA, that was their pediatrician. And even the people pushing the vaccines, their children were not vaccinated and their children went to this doctor. So that was just like a really fascinating, eye-opening part of my personal journey.
People in power, it's, do as I say, not as I do. Let's be clear. Yeah. Make sure you don't eat steak and use gas, but I'm getting on my private jet with Wagyu beef. Let's be clear, right? So that would be one. Then the first answer, water. It's all about the water. Most of the poison, I would say, is in drinking and bathing water. And I'm not incredibly hopeful about the new administration. I expect nothing to change. I've never seen, nothing has ever changed in my entire adult life. So I don't know. Let's see. I am not a fan of talking results. I don't give a shit what you say. Put up or shut up is where I'm at. So the reality is I'm from Michigan, and the Flint, Michigan water situation. There are 1,500 others. That is not even the worst city in lead by any means. Like, this is rampant. I want all chlorine out of water. I want all fluoride out of water. I want all atrazine out of water. I want birth control pills out of water. I want Prozac out of water because it's in all the water.
Talk about atrazine for a moment, because I think that's something that people aren't familiar with. And like, from the research that I've been doing recently, like, this is perhaps one of the most
been in the water. It's like one of the worst. It's been in the water for decades. I don't know the numbers. This is kind of some of the stuff I read. I wish I had little data points, but atrazine is one of these chemicals. It's in one of probably the worst endocrine disrupting chemicals. We can do very, very little. We've done lots of little studies on it, and it's in ponds and rivers and streams. It's out there. It's in drinking water. Not every city has it in the water, but it's pretty rampant. It turns frogs and fish opposite sex. It turns males into females. It's very well known to do this. And, isn't it interesting how it, precipitously found its way in most of the drinking water? And isn't it interesting how we seem to have so much wild gender confusion suddenly? It's the atrazine. None of this is by mistake, and none of it is on accident. These are not dumb people. They know exactly what they're doing, and all these weird accidental leaks. Look, a ship broke and all the things got emptied, and it's coming out in the underwater of it is what it is. It's being sprayed, it's being used, it's in the food, it's on the wheat. You eat processed food, you're getting atrazine. You're drinking bottled water out of a gas station, you're having atrazine. You take a bath.
What can we do water-wise from a filtration perspective? I think the one thing
that is the only real option: steam distillation. So steam is going to get, so that the best option hands down is to steam distill the water. If you're going to do a whole house, it's going to steam distill it. But for at least, so you can, that's harder to get for the whole house, but you can get a separate distiller for drinking, and you can still, the second best would be reverse osmosis. Under countertop RO systems are worthless practically. Almost all, they all grow mold. And you're all drinking mold and bacteria typically. So I'm not a fan of any of those. If you have that in your house from Costco, Sam Clubs, Home Depot, it's very common. Buy a $500, $1,500 system. I would throw them out. Robert Slovak invented all of those, and he's come out very loud and said, I made a mistake. The design needs to be changed. They all grow mold. If you have a child with autism, do not let them drink that water. You're poisoning them.
So, but what can the average person do? Because also, like, there's this shower issue, right? And this is the thing I think most people don't recognize and realize is that it's not just what you're ingesting. Like when you're showering.
Yeah. Sadly, the effective shower heads are like $1,000 to $3,000. So you're really just better off to do a whole house filtration for 2 to 5 grand, you can get almost everything out of it. You can get the chlorine and fluoride out of your water. You're not going to maybe get all the radioactive isotopes. Distillation is the only way to get radioactive substances out, but you can get a vast majority of some of the volatile, or, the gases and stuff with some of those. So I have a couple companies that I recommend. I can give you their, links and the names, but it's worth the investment on that. Now, again, the shower heads and things that I've seen, you can get a little bit. I mean, hey, if you take 50% out of it, that's better than nothing. So really it's about making these 1% little improvements. Like, can you do a 1% this month? What can we focus on this month? And it may take you 6 to 12 months to get all the water in your house right. Okay.
Yeah.
You're better off 12 months from then.
It's that compounding effect too, because if you're looking at these areas, and you improve incrementally in each of these areas, like eventually that's going to compound into something.
Yeah. So I sell a countertop RO system that people then they can use all their cooking and drinking water. You can start with that. Not too bad. A few $100s.
You can get us the link for that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we can start with that. Let's say. Yeah, well, you can layer it like, okay, I got $200. What do I do? Okay, then I got 500. What do I do? Then you slowly save up, like how we can do it. So can you use some of the filters for the shower and for the bathtub? Yes. Like when I first had my son, the first 2 years, I was just in my mom's house. I couldn't get full filtration. I was, severe pregnancy. I was almost dead. And so I needed full care and all the stuff. And I had to use all the filters, and I bought jugs of water. Like he didn't have any, I didn't want chlorine touching his body. So like I had to do that till I could buy a countertop thing, and I had to filter and make water and make him baths. That's what I was doing, because he wasn't going to have tap water touching him as far as I was concerned. Then when I moved back to Atlanta, I had, my whole house had a full filtration, and, bringing somebody to test it. But there's much better systems than we had 20 years ago. Like there's, Greenfield Naturals does some, Pure Field. There's several good companies that even they charge the water and restructure it. You can have structured, like it's practically like a fresh spring coming out. But the biggest thing, we want the chlorine, the fluoride, and the drugs out of it. There are birth control pills. The water often has a typical, some cities, it's like the amount of estrogen in a birth control pill. What do you think happens if your 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old little boys are drinking that? Your 7, 8, 9, 10 little girls. You wonder why we have little boobs on 8 and 9-year-old boys and girls, and girls getting their periods at 8. All right. So we said vaccines and water. That's only okay. What was the question? Endocrine disrupting chemicals.
Yeah. And what are the 5 things to do to get rid of endocrine disrupted?
Plastic clothing, like, polyester underwear, polyester yoga pants.
Yoga pants, huge, right?
Underwear, bras. What?
No, if you've got sons, like if you have male children,
spandex,
no boxers with spandex next to the testicles.
My son wears merino wool underwear. So he wore organic cotton all the way up until there's this great, it was like I don't know, Nordic, like German company. It was like everything was this one company. And here's the reality. When you look at the pair of underwear, you think, oh God, it's like $10 a pair of underwear. The underwear lasted the whole time. And like, until he outgrew them, they're the best quality you ever had. And so now as a teenager, I started converting him to merino wool. At first he was asking for like merino wool, like socks, because Mom, I'm so sweaty, blah, blah, blah. And his dad and I were like, they're like $30. But then I was like, once I understood, I don't care. He can have $30 underwear because I'm keeping the family jewels intact, and the boy needs his fucking testosterone. Like I don't give a shit. Buy him what he wants. Plus they last forever and they feel good and they like them. So to me, organic cotton or wool is the way to go, especially for your children. I'm sorry, but it's too important. They're
and all of us women that live in yoga.
Clothing, Lululemon, you should burn them all. They're all poisonous. All these brands you're buying cheap shit on Amazon. What do you think they're spraying those? Oh my God, no fire retardants. They were saying kids' clothing with fire retardant. I get the idea. They didn't, it was poisoning the kids. So fire retarding sheets and all that, or make, sheets, if you can buy linen sheets. So I just did the upgrade recently to all linen sheets because
linen. That's all. Yeah.
Like it's so good, right?
Expensive, it's so worth it.
So expensive, but you can even get them at Target, So they are an investment, being like, you take care of your sheets, you know what I mean? But you spend so much time there. That's a recovery. And wool and linen, you don't use them at the same time, however, but they have a 5,000 hertz frequency, and one goes in a north to south pole, and then it goes south to north. And so that's why you don't wear them at the same time, because they cancel out and do zero. But they raise the frequency of your cellular healing and actually help heal the body. So all hospitals used to use nothing but linen. All old medicine, it was always linen. And it actually, the bandages being in linen helps the wound heal faster. Well, we converted to all this plastic crap. Rayon and fake gauze is all plastic made. And every time you're using these plastic underwear, spandex, biker shorts, anything with that breathe, polyester, weird, quick dry, all that REI crap, all these, it's all plastic. So every time you wash it, microplastics are going into the sewer system, and that's part of the pollution. Like, we're all putting all these microplastics into the lakes, rivers, and streams and oceans. So we can't keep blaming big companies when we're all part of the big convenience. You know, we just want convenience to throw things around. So clothing is one of those unknown things. Then I would probably say, our last two would be like food and then beauty health products, right? So that includes tampons.
So food, we've got seed oils.
I'm more concerned probably with, I mean, yes, seed oils. I think seed oils are as big as, I mean, I really hate chicken. Like, I'm going to tell you, I'm like almost on a vendetta for what people eating so much chicken is doing to them. Like, they think that's the meat. I'm like, why are you eating so much chicken?
Because of how they're raising the chicken, and
multiple ways, multiple reasons. So first of all, humans, no indigenous cultures are sitting around eating birds. It's too hard to hunt birds. It's way too little return on investment. Why would you work that hard for this much meat? They don't want to work that hard. You know how hard it is to catch chickens? You know how hard it is to, I asked hunters. I dated a couple hunters. And I'm like, girl, turkey hunting ain't no joke. That turkeys will mess you up. Like, it's so much easier to get a deer than it is the turkey. So much easier. And you get so much more meat from a deer than you do a turkey. Which I'm like, really? They're like, oh yeah, them turkey will fuck with you. They really mess with your mind. They come up and sneak up on you. They're quiet. You know, I'm like, a turkey, they're like, yeah. They're like, that's why we like hunting them, because it's hard. It's hard to get a turkey, right? It's a challenge. Yeah. They go, deer aren't that smart. There it is. You know, they get one, and you get a lot of meat. So it's kind of like the turkey hunters. So anyway, I'm just telling you, humans throughout history, you know, you don't see pictures of turkeys and chicken up on caves. We didn't eat that shit. We don't eat birds that much. It's hard. But I throw a spear at a bird flying.
So we're limiting poultry.
Yeah, so it's a different animal, right? So they don't have ruminant, so they can't clean the food. Yep. So they just eat whatever, it's fine. So a natural wild bird, again, is different. All of the stuff we're eating has been genetically modified to have these giant breasts. Most of them can't even stand up on their little legs anymore. They're just not even natural. They're not natural chickens at all. They're given complete crap to eat, a totally different diet, grains and seeds. So their omega-6, omega-3 profile is completely not what it's supposed to be. So even if it's a wild, it really isn't that good for you, because whatever they eat, they're eating glyphosate containing bugs and grass and everything. They can't process it out. So their meat is full of poisons. A cow, a ruminant, anything with a bunch of stomachs, a cow or a buffalo or deer, their bacteria and all the stomachs process and move all the glyphosate. They take all the insecticides, herbicides, pesticides out. So that is not in the meat anymore. So they detox it for us. Chickens can't do that. Turkey they don't do that. Now their eggs are fantastic. Eat the eggs.
So this is interesting. I posted a story today where they were talking about, there was a particular brand of pasture raised eggs in the United States that are ridiculously expensive, and they tested them, and they've come back with like crazy high amounts of glyphosate, and also the seed oil.
Linoleic acid. Yeah, because they're given so much of that. That's not what they're given all this stuff to eat. That's a raising.
And they can't clean it.
Omega-6 are good for you. Listen, omega-6 isn't the poison. I really get nervous that everybody, like, you need linoleic acid. Like, we need omega-6s. I give evening primrose oil and borage oil to people, and I can reverse mental illness with that in the wrong ratio. People don't have it. However, it's this massive swing of getting it in unnatural refined sources and way too much. Like the chickens aren't supposed to eat what we're giving them. Profile becomes like this, where it's like this. So this is omega. They're supposed to have some, but now we just did this crazy thing. So then we're eating that and we're doing that profile to ourselves. Way too much of something. So when it becomes too much, it becomes inflammatory. It's not that omega 6s in them. Evening primrose and borage oil all the time with patients. I see a lot of deficiency in omega 6, to be honest, in the right kind that lead to inflammatory mental health issues that look like bipolar disorder. So you have to be careful, like you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater kind of a thing. But yeah, no, it's total crap. So
eat ruminant meat that can clean the poisons and toxins out of the food for you while it goes through its digestive process.
Right. They take
eat lamb, beef,
bison, deer, elk, whatever. Any wild game is great. That's usually a little too lean. You're going to have to throw some fat in that. You can't just live on that alone. Like if you just lived on elk, you'd die pretty quickly. It's just not enough fat. Let's see what else. I love eggs though. I do. And the problem with fish is that there's so much microplastics in it. Yeah, that's really not really our Lululemon and our rayon underwear, that's our problem. In our plastic everything, right? So the food, let me think what else is a big one. I'm also just more concerned with grains in general because they're full of glyphosate. They're the grains, the rices, the quinoas, all of that stuff, the breads and everything.
It's amazing how much better
vegetables. They're all sprayed with all the stuff.
Yeah.
It's fascinating that people think of, oh, aren't you worried about the meat and all the hormones they put in? I'm like, well, I don't know what lie you heard from some Netflix vegan documentary, but that's not how it works. They don't actually do that. Like you've been lied to, conned once again by bullshit. Sorry, you don't know how to read. You watch, if anybody's getting their health information from Netflix, I feel sorry for you. Please stop. That is not an educational resource. Yeah, like I literally start to watch some of these things. I'm like, people watch this? I'm like, are we kidding? I remember I watched one of them and I thought it was a joke. I thought it was like a satire, and I kept doing this, going, this can't be. They're like, no. I'm like, this is what they're talking about. I'm like, this is the thing. I'm like, this you, and it's like we're all like, I can't even watch it anymore. This is pure nonsense. But because it's so Hollywood and they hook you with emotion, but that's how people they have no discernment, unfortunately. They've lived in a Hollywood kind of life where they think actors are actually compelling educationalists at this point. I'm like, he's an actor. Like his job is to lie to you and make you believe it. And you believe him to say, like literally they're professional liars. They play pretend for a living. And you want to believe them about the meat? Okay.
So let's go to number 1 and talk about the beauty industry.
Yeah.
We're going to be chatting a little bit about Raymond now.
Okay.
After Stephanie tells us all the other things that we should be avoiding.
I'm going to just move so I can get some water.
Hopefully nobody's putting tampons in their body anymore, but we
can
talk about.
I use tampons. It was like I have to, like, that's one of those, when that light bulb, it wasn't that long ago when I think it was Stephanie Seneff. I think I was interviewing her, Dr. Seneff, and she mentioned the glyphosate in the tampon. And I was like, what? Wait, what? Like, I didn't even, Leah, we can't all think of everything, right? Like, I did not think about that. I'm still I still have a period every single month, like clockwork. Every 27 days, I get my period in my 50s. I still use tampons. I don't want to just be in pads. I have things to do. And I'm like, oh God, I have to use those organic cotton ones. And I'm going to tell you, they don't feel good. They physically don't actually, they hurt me. I don't actually like an organic tampon. I haven't found one brand. If you got some brands you want to suggest to me, fantastic. I use them because I don't want to poison myself, but they don't feel as good as the big brand that I was used to using. That's full of glyphosate and full of, God only knows, maybe atrazine for all I know, right? Yeah. Sorry.
Yes, please. My son just asked me if I wanted coffee.
Hi, son. How are you?
Josiah, how are you enjoying your cotton underwear? We're talking about no more.
Oh, ask for some merino wool. Do you have any of those?
No, he
Merino
doesn't.
wool.
We'll have to try him. I
They're really
had this
nice.
whole went and ripped out all of his underwear out of his room, threw them away, ordered all new organic cotton underwear for him. So he's been on the organic cotton underwear train for a bit here.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
All right. Sorry, I had to get some.
So I gotta say, I shared a little bit about, and I shared my whole health journey yesterday, which took me forever and it was long and drawn out. And after the end of it, I was like, wow, I've been through a lot of shit. I'd never actually mapped it out from in the womb, everything I went through in the womb until now. That was the story that I told in the group yesterday.
Oh, wow.
So along the way, I was talking about, my experience where I had a massive allergic reaction to La Mer. And my face, when I was 30, my face broke out in these dry spots that were painful and cracking and hurt. And I went to 6 dermatologists. No one could figure out what it was. And so I spent, another one of my 5 months on steroids and 2 years on antihistamine, trying to deal with this thing. And that's what actually led me to create my own skincare line, which was all natural oils and essential oils, which I used up until the point that I started using herbal face food. That was all I used, was my own skincare line that I created. Then I used herbal face food. And then you introduced me to Riman. And I have to just say right now, I wanted to hate it. I did not want to like it.
I know.
I was like, I live in Indonesia. So all I hear about out here, K-beauty, blah, 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 blah. And I just was like, I wanted to hate it. I resisted for so long. And then finally you were like, just let me send you some product. And I was like, okay. And I haven't even shared this. I haven't told anyone barely that I've been using it because I wanted to see, right? Well, I'm 5 weeks in and I'm like, what? My husband looked at me the other night. This is horrible because we were actually talking about a friend of ours who's massively inflamed and has aged 10 years in the last few years. And I was like, look at her face. And then he was looked at me and he goes, look at your face. He's like, your face is perfect. He's like, you have no wrinkles. Yeah. So when your husband says that to you, you know that it's working, right? Yeah. Someone that sees you every day is like, wait, what's going on with your face and your skin? So needless to say, I am a Riman convert. I'm obsessed with this product. It's so amazing. So we are going to talk to you about that. But
yeah, I was building my own line. And trust me, I didn't want to like it either because I was about to manufacture my own line. This is so much better. And I was doing, what all the Americans are doing with the peptides and the blah, blah, blah. And I thought I was coming up with some clever formula with methylene blue and melatonin and GHK copper. And I'm doing all this. And I was going to have it made in Korea. I was talking with the manufacturer. My friend was like, okay, one of the vendors I do this is having definitely because his is made in Korea. He's like, well, you got to have it made there. I mean, nobody makes it as good as them, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay. And then I used this and was like, okay. And I'm going to tap out on that because whatever he's doing is, it's just mental. Now I understand it. But one, I just want to back up though. I want to say this, just for people in the skin journey of that, because I didn't know some of that. I didn't know about that. I'm like, oh, wow, this is all a lot of this is making even more sense. And especially, again, I look forward to us talking about methylation pathways in the next thing. We'll bring this into it. But I don't, listen, I'm going to say we're better than La Mer, and everything we're going to come out with is going to be better than La Mer. We reference La Mer a lot because it's a luxury brand, but it's at a fraction of the cost, but it's cleaner and more effective. But La Mer is kind of a gold standard. Like our color cosmetics are going to be 4D cushion like La Mer that are coming out this year. And we kind of use that look, you could be paying this or you can get this. And we are they do have toxic chemicals in it. You have cancer causes.
I was paying $1,000 a month for my skincare.
Yeah, and this is
I was not.
But any of that. The reality is, let's also just deal with. Again, I don't want to go back to blaming a thing, and I had not detoxification pathways like most people in America or anywhere else. Let's tell the truth, and your drainage pathways were not working well. So would you have had such a bad, now the reality is it was that reaction, that symptom caused you to make major changes. You needed it. It was a gift, because had you not had that, maybe you wouldn't have made such radical changes in your life. Like some people have to, spirit must bring a 2x4. Like apparently you don't want to listen to me what I'm saying, so I'm gonna hit you upside the head real hard.
This yesterday, I was like, I have to get the Mack truck.
Right.
Like I have to be hit by the Mack truck.
The lesson for you would be, I need to hear subtle whispers. Stop yelling and screaming and Mack trucking me. Like I have to tell my patients all the time. I'm like, can you listen? I'm like, God will put me in your path so you can stop doing what you're doing. Or if you don't listen to her, the Mack truck is coming. Like and I'm like, listen, you could like do this with me now or make it less painful, or this will catch up with you. And whether it's going to happen next year or 10 years from now, I don't know, but I know where this is going. So please listen now, and we can make this easier. It's hard now, but it's going to be harder 5 years from now. So for whoever's listening,
the chemical number that we're putting onto the average woman puts onto her body, into her body.
It is, so men it's 88 a day, women it's
300 and something, right?
It's 300, like it's in that 350 380 some range. I don't want to screw it up. A day.
Chemicals a day.
Yeah. So consciously putting on, you paid money and you're doing it to yourself. Yeah. And that's why some of this is very hard, right? It's the same as with like breast implant illness or Botox, damage. It's really hard to admit I did this to myself. It's to me, it's no different. I've seen this starting in my teenage years when I was dealing with friends of mine whose fathers were molesting or raping them. Why the other people wouldn't believe the girl. It's not that they don't want to believe the little girl. It's that they can't believe. They can't let themselves believe they chose to bring a predator into the house. So that can't be true. It just can't be true, because what this must mean about what I did is something I can't handle believing. So they have to choose. That little girl's making up a story. She's mad at him because they can't handle that I put my son in a team or let him spend an overnight with that coach. I can't believe I didn't see that the priest would do this. I can't believe. That's what goes on, the cognitive dissonance. So because I've seen that in my career so much, and I don't blame that other parent, I'm like, oh my God, they just, if we are so like set that we can't see that because we can't handle what it would mean about us, imagine how easy it is to dismiss that the Botox is causing your anxiety.
I think the frustrating part about the Botox or the filler or whatever it is, right, is that, first of all, we're just have this onslaught from the media of this is what we're supposed to look like. But then we go to the doctors and they're telling us, oh, this doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier. Oh, this is perfectly safe. Oh, this isn't going to migrate. Oh, this isn't toxin, even though it's literally called botulism. But at 23, when I go to the doctor and the doctor says to me, this is perfectly safe, this isn't going to do anything to you, like it's proven, here's the science, are the case studies, it's FDA approved for use.
I mean, that's the whole matter. So here's the thing. I don't want to scapegoat the physicians entirely. I'm in a fine line with them because they're lied to.
And they believe it. They believe that.
Of course, but they put their trust.
Toxic, that Botox
trust, they trust the FDA, they trust the CDC, they trust the AMA. They've shown repeatedly that they don't have very good discernment. They have shown they're not that smart. They have shown they don't do thorough research. And yet people like me who will spend hours, hundreds of hours researching something, we're the quacks. Because we question the authority. We say, okay, well, prove it to me. Well, show it to me. And if you take any of them to Matt, well, then show me the science. Show it to me. The FDA came out flat out and did say it does cross the fucking blood-brain barrier. It crosses the placenta and it leaves the site of injection. That's straight from the FDA. The physicians, because they have so much money at play, there is a cognitive bias and a cognitive dissonance around it. If like, I don't want to know it, I don't want to know it because it's going to cost, they're not, I think most of them are not consciously aware of it. I don't think most are trying that, but they're the same group of people who are just go through medical school, get told that vaccine's good, do them all the time. They're dangerous. Okay. They don't see any science. They get a couple hours of that. That's literally all they get. Hormone replacement bad, cause cancer. Don't do it. Okay. And they don't ask questions. They don't look at studies. They don't do anything because the system is set up to make it be that they're so overwhelmed and so traumatized and in such fear of being thrown out of rank, thrown out of school, in debt, no money. That's how they set them up, and then they own them. Then they're owned. And if you don't follow our guidelines, we will drop your malpractice and never defend you in court. And your patients are going to sue you because that's what they're trained to do, because they just want to sue the rich doctor. I really, that's what goes on for a physician. So it's a shit show place to be for them. All right. And if you go into plastics, aesthetics, make no mistakes, that's the group that's there for the money. They make a lot of money. They went into plastics because that's where the money is. So they're not an ER physician, not a trauma doctor. Like, that's a different group of people. So they're a little bit more motivated by the money than somebody who didn't go into, plastics is a certain thing. Like, that we'll just tell the truth. And they're not going to hear things the same way. So there's a lot of bias of they don't want to know the truth because it's going to end what they're doing. Because when they find out, they're like, it's very disruptive to find out what you're doing is hurting people. That is not an easy thing to figure out. When I would just find out some of the labs or tests I were running were bullshit, like the guilt I felt when I found out the ALCAT allergy test was bullshit, I was like, oh my God. How many of these things have I done? Shit. Now, I didn't hurt anybody, but I made them spend a lot of money and waste a lot of time and do whatever. And we're like, the science was all faulty. They lied to us. That lab lied. They gave us bullshit science. We believed it. They had a really good pony show around it. I wasn't doing anything. And, I wasn't trying to do the wrong thing. But 5 years into it to go, we got to pull that lab. Oh my God, stop it. We're not doing them anymore. I have to apologize to people. I thought, I'm sorry. I didn't know. You know what I mean? Like, that's a humiliating conversation to have with your patients. So a lot of people choose never to know because they don't want to have that humiliating conversation to say, I was wrong. You know how hard it is for that plastic surgeon to say, I'm taking them all out? That's not easy. It takes a very special kind of doctor, and there aren't that many out there. I'm going to tell you the truth. I mean, that's just where it is. So it's an unfortunate thing. So I'm in the fine line of they're lied to. So I get why they do that, but there comes a point, the doctor still has the onus of responsibility, and you better be listening to patients. You better be listening to what's going on. The amount of dismissiveness and gaslighting that goes into patients when they do come in and say something's wrong and I'm not feeling well. Why is this like this? And then they gaslight them. Then to me, then gloves are off and I'll come after you hard because now I have no mercy and you are wrong. Making the initial mistake, okay. But there's too much gaslighting on patients when they come in and say, I don't feel well. I went deaf. I'm having panic attacks. And they're like, oh, it can't be that. Really? It can't?
Well, I think for me, like I ended up with like a permanent sagging brow. It's not as noticeable now, but this whole brow was like this for 3 months and it still isn't normal. And I still never got full motion back here in this part of my face. And that was actually 3 years ago. And then I haven't done anything since. And certainly carnivore living has done a lot for collagen production. And, I laugh because I'm like, oh, it's like I've had lip implants, but I didn't. Like my 20-year-old lips came back from eating meat. It didn't happen the first. I mean, it was like, 9 months in, I started noticing it. But yeah, I mean, I've been a person, I've done all the things. Like I've done all the things to my face. And
it's so shocking. Because again, when you said that, I was like, what? And I feel bad because I didn't even start asking about Botox and fillers until 3 or 4 years ago. It wasn't a standard question. I didn't know people got this. Like I live in this bubble of whatever, and my friends don't, or if they do, we don't talk about. They're all like holistic, crunchy people. And though maybe I was making an assumption because I am surprised now that I see it, like how many holistic, functional coaches and doctors are just injected and surgeried and breasts. And I'm like, a friend of mine, she'll send me, she's another doctor, and she'll send the link. She goes, look at this one. I'm like, what? And again, I think they're satire. I'm like, is she for real? She goes, she's literally talking about detox and poison. Look at her lips. I'm like, oh my God. But there's like this disconnect of injecting yourself. Like that doesn't count.
I think the rationalization, or somehow it's like, I live no tox every day. And then just once every 6 months, I go and do this thing. Like, I really do feel like there's a rationalization in that, because you're just thinking like, oh, and then it processes out of the body.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's even worse.
Amazing things for myself.
Botulism. Let's go over what it is, you guys. Botulism is a poison, this toxin that comes from this botulism bacteria. Botulism toxin is the #1 most dangerous toxin known to all of humanity. There is nothing more poisonous than botulism. So it was created as a biological, so it's a disease, it is a thing, but then it was manufactured in massive quantities as a weapon of war to be released during one of the world wars to try and paralyze and kill the enemy. Because what does it do? It causes muscular paralysis. It kills the nerves that innervate a muscle. So that means what are muscles? Your heart, lung, diaphragm, like there's intercostal muscles in the diaphragm. That's a muscle. So you can stop someone from breathing and you can stop their heart. Instant death, instant easy murder. So when you inject botulism to paralyze in a controlled way, it doesn't stay there. That is now established, and that is a fact. It leaves and it goes everywhere. People have died right from the injection because it went to their heart or to their lungs and it killed them. Happens all the time. You just don't hear about it because they're not telling you, because they don't want you to know. Right? So then you have an even worse. So if you get fillers or Botox and you have them put in, there are lymphatic specialists and stuff. They're like, oh, we can't work on you. We can't work on it. They have to ask. So if you get lymphatic or massage, you shouldn't be getting massaged or anything after that, because it's going to encourage it to leave the site of injection. Do you think people are going in and telling people this? No. They're going to their acupuncturist, their massage therapist.
They just say, don't do it for 72 hours.
Right. And you're not supposed to do it for a long time. I just found that out from Kelly.
Don't get a massage. Don't lay down. Stay upright for, like you can't lay down straight away because it will migrate.
Well, it is migrating. And so it crosses into your brain. It's known it does cross into the blood-brain barrier. Oh, okay, you want that part. I'm like, well, it impacts any part of the brain. Okay, so I'm like, what are you talking about? It goes everywhere. Okay, so so see how I can move my face, right? I can make all kinds of lines because, I can move it around.
It's interesting. Like I can do it, but I have to focus really hard on raising like the messages to the.
I think we can help with that with peptides. We have to regrow the nerves. So
this is like really difficult for me to do. Like I could do this easily, but I have to think about this or like hard to get it to raise.
And so this is the globular muscle. So all of that subtle motion I just did with my eyes, this is incredibly important information. And what the face is doing by us being able to go face to face and look at each other in the face, it is really the most important aspect for all mammals, is to be able to check in with faces with each other. Every mammal on Earth has been studied and they all do it. Dogs, cats, rats, humans, everybody, cows, they're all doing it because we're checking in with the face to pick up all of these cues that we unconsciously can tell. Are they safe? Are they happy? Are they playing? Are they fighting? Like, what's about to happen? So when you see dogs in a park playing, like fighting, just like when you see 8-year-old boys in the park playing, there's always have to stop and check with the face. There's two things that define play, by the way: movement and facial recognition with each other. If you can't see someone's face, you aren't actually playing. So you have to be moving, and then you check with the face, and you're always doing that to see, are we in this, it's a very subtle moment of, okay, we're good. And then we go back and we check, and we know if each other is okay. That's how we're doing it. And if we're still we're good, or are we about to come at each other, right? So like play fighting is the perfect example. And we've all kind of done it. And we've all seen when a play fight turns into a real fight, and it's because of this facial recognition situation. So checking in with the face establishes safety, connection. It's tons of communication, nonverbal communication. 90% of the communication is happening across the face. So we need it to know when we're playing. We need it to know when we're safe. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the vagus nerve. There's many, many innervations in the face. It goes in the ears, the eyes, the mouth, the throat. We have so many different branches of the vagus nerve hitting different areas. The idea of surprise and ups, like sexy, it's a lot that happens right there. So by us being able to do everything I just did and look at somebody in the face, we can simply connect, and I can let that person know with no words how I'm feeling and if they're okay or not. Like, we've all had the look at some point from our mom and dad. They didn't have to say much of anything, and we knew if we were in trouble or not, from a look. It was like, uh-oh, ooh, you in trouble. It ain't good. What'd you do? Or like, oh, we're good. You check in, you're like, okay, you check in with your coach, you check in with your teacher, you're checking your husband, your wife, to know, are we okay? Are you okay? With no words. If you can't move your muscles in your face, now you can't send the signals right. So the other people are totally picking up the wrong cues. They can't tell what's going on. You're going to raise their anxiety and stress level because they can't really pick up what's happening. So we have miscommunication on their part. It raises their stress level, activates their fight or flight system, which then comes back, activates yours. So both people get anxious and stressed out because of the paralyzed face. Then the person, this has been studied, and that so a child's reactions to their mother who's had Botox, the child's always anxious. The child cannot pick up on her emotional state, and the child can no longer mirror her emotional state. We're supposed to have mirror neurons and mirror what the mother is going through at all times. Children are constantly referencing their mother to know if they're safe or not. They must know how she feels to know how they're supposed to feel. If her face is frozen, she's no longer giving the proper emotional information to the child. So the child's like in an emotional vacuum, and it's very confused. Okay. So there's that. Then they looked at the impact of the people who have Botox, and they watched with the brain how it lights up. The centers for the mirror neurons lighting up are down, and those are the centers for empathy, being able to feel what the other person is feeling, and therefore having more compassion. So the person who gets it is numbed out. The muscles are numbed, the nerves are numbed, and the information to the brain is numbed. Does that make sense? So the last thing that I think we need is people who can no longer co-regulate each other. The mother must regulate the children, and her face is frozen. The kids can't pick it up. And then she can't feel what they're feeling. So now we have all this disconnect and more chaos. So that's a longer way of saying all of that. But does that make sense?
Yeah. Wow. That's
not good.
No. And I have so many thoughts about even like Jack, like my son, and all of that. It's, well, now you know. So, but here's the thing. There is this incredible product now, because look, here's the thing. Like,
we all want to look good, though. I get it.
Yes, like I'm in this place in my life where I'm like, I want to hack the health out of longevity, hack the hell out of longevity. Like, I want to be as vital and as
vibrant,
live a long time in a really, really vital way. And I want to look good. And
looking good makes you feel good, man.
Yeah. So now talk to us about Rimon, because first, I'm just going to share. So I've been using for 5 weeks. I'm blown away. Like the fine lines and wrinkles on my face.
I can see it.
Marionette lines.
Because listen, you're gorgeous. I would never have looked at you and thought you needed to do a damn thing. But I'm like, oh my God, I can totally see it. Yeah.
It's pretty fantastic, like what's happening. And again, I'm just 5 weeks in. So my marionette lines have always been the thing that bothered me the most.
Oh, really?
And since I stopped getting filler, but they're vanishing. They're literally vanishing. I've come to like these were the first, like Botox always here because I hated my smile lines, but I'm learning to love those. Yeah. But I did have some lines that were quite deep right here, and those are going away. Mm-hmm. And also, so I was most interested in the hair care. Like I really wanted to try the hair care because
that's why I made sure. I said, well, what do you want the hair? And you're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, let me make sure.
I'm like, I had to have the hair because with the rapid weight loss, I lost 2/3 of my hair. I mean, I used to have this crazy mane of hair. I lost 2/3 of my hair. And in the last 2 years, my whole entire crown has gone gray, which we'll talk about on the next one. But my hair was so thin, and it was, I mean, I could see it. And I was like, this is crazy because I have so much, like I'm a thick hair person.
Yeah.
So I'm obsessed with this hair care. Like, first of all, I don't even know what they're doing with this like water situation. It's like defies gravity and like all like physics. Like what happens with it.
In it. I bathed in a tub in it in Jeju.
I'm obsessed with this hair care. Like just the use of it and the smell. Like I hate the smell of the oil. I'm not gonna lie. I still put it on, but I put another oil on top of it.
Well, I don't use it. I mean, you don't have to if you don't like it.
But I'm obsessed. And my hair, you can't really see this. Let me see if you guys can see. It's when my hair is curly, you can see it so noticeably because it's like this little fro on top of the
that you could see it in that. I was like, wow.
Yeah, this like little baby fro on then all this long hair. So my hair is growing back like crazy, but it's so freaking soft. Like my hair is so soft. It's amazing.
The curly-haired people really go crazy about it.
Oh, like, no.
I mean, you guys are like apparently.
This is what I wanted to say. Yeah. I should have worn my hair curly today because Bali water is so horrendous. I have a shower filter. I have all the things, but my curly hair is straight in lots of different places. So I don't ever wear my hair curly because it won't be curly. My hair is like back to my 12-year-old curls.
Yeah.
Like, it's I'm like, I don't know how this even happened. I only have like this I'm going to go get this cut off probably because this much right here, like won't curl, but all of this is like.
Yeah. The curly hair people. I mean, apparently it's such my son has really curly hair. So it's interesting, but yeah, my friends are like, look at my hair. I'm like, wow. I mean, that's insane. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah.
So I know we've gone like so late, but just give us a little bit. And I want to know if you know because I missed the Black Friday thing today because it was sold out by the time I woke up.
Yeah.
So do you know what the Black Friday thing is for tomorrow morning? So we can tell the people so that they can get it while I'm sleeping if they want to.
I know them every day. Okay. So here's the thing about this line. This guy is the number one product formulator in Asia for 30 years. So he sells his stuff to Chanel and La Mer and Yves Saint Laurent, and everybody comes to him. And everybody goes, all the French brands still go to Korea to get their stuff, right? Like this is what it is. Like I forget, so Korea, I think is 53 million people. So it's very small. It's like the size of the state of Indiana. It's not that many people there, but they are the skincare capital of the world, right? They are known, Korea is skincare, like, Paris is fashion and, New York is advertising, LA is movies, like their places are known for certain things, right? Korea is absolutely skincare and everybody knows it. They have more skincare manufacturing. It's something like, 5,000 skincare manufacturing per 10,000 people per capita. It's like some ridiculous number. They just do more of that than anybody else in the world. So there were some wild numbers when we were there. So I was just in Korea, a month ago or whatever. I think at this point I was there for about 10 days, seeing Jeju, seeing the whole manufacturing and everything around this product line. And with corporate staff, it was utterly fascinating. So he has, I think it's 16 patents right now on the ingredients that are here. And what he did was basically, he's been studying plants. He's been studying Centella asiatica, which is also known as tiger grass. And in Asia, the tigers will roll around in this grass after fights because they have figured out intuitively and spiritually and being whispered to that this plant heals their wounds really fast. So it's extremely anti-inflammatory and causes massive healing and self-regeneration of the tiger skin. So it's been known as tiger grass because that's what the tigers roll around in it and heal up so fast. So he's been studying it for 20 years in particular. So Centella asiatica is used in a lot of skincare products. The issue is, you can look at the difference. They're getting it from Madagascar, India, from other places, and it's dried up. It's like the dead, dried herbs they're grinding up and like putting and stuff. Now, how much of the active antioxidants and polyphenols are actually in this doesn't matter because they don't need to tell you that. Well, what he did was take Centella asiatica and said, after studying it, and he is one of only 6 people that the Korean government has given access to study what's called Jeju lava energy water. So there's a volcano on Jeju called Halasan volcano, and there's this reservoir of water down underneath it that geologists and volcanologists have discovered a while ago that has some very unique properties because it's coming through the porous basalt of the rainwater coming through the porous basalt, as well as the ocean water creates this pressure system that the water gets filtered and cleaned out, but it picks up minerals from 400,000-year-old volcanic ash and basalt. So it's down there so deep, running through, picking up all the minerals from the basalt these minerals don't exist in our topsoil. So none of these minerals are in any of our plants and grass up here because it's down there. Then he decided to grow the plant in the water. He's one of only 6 people allowed by the government to study. He's the only person allowed to use it in any cosmetics, beauty whatsoever. So there's one company that puts it in food, 2 companies use it for medical. So the water itself, the energy water, we drank it when we were there. The whole time, it's all we're drinking. They let them drink it. So they bottle it and drink it, and we bathed in it too in his spa. The water itself is studied for, it treats hangovers, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, weight loss. They use it for all kinds of stuff. They call it yaksu. It's a medicinal water, but we don't have a translation. The best that we could come up with, they're saying it's holy water, but they don't call it that because nobody can pilgrimage to it because it's underneath the ocean. So if this water was coming up in a spring, it would have created lore like Lourdes or anything else. The people would have been having miracles, I think. So the water itself is super anti-inflammatory, and it causes things because it also has radiation frequency from the volcano, because all volcanoes give off big radiation spheres, and everything grows super big and super fast around volcanoes because of that radiation charge. So he grew Centella in the water, and it grew 5 times the size of normal Centella. And so it has 2.5 times the potency of the actual elixir. So he made a plant. He called it giant byungpool so it's byungpool is the word for Centella asiatica. So he made a new plant by growing it in the water. Took 3 years, but he does have a patent on giant byungpool. He's the only person that owns the patent. He's the only person that grows it. He has the largest giant byungpool farm in the entire world. All of the byungpool in the world is used in all the Riemann. So it penetrates deeper into the skin. It has more anti-inflammatory healing property of the regular tiger grass. It causes more regeneration, more healing. This is beyond skincare. It's regeneration and repair. To me, it's the first topical I've ever seen that really, as far as I'm concerned, because it penetrates so deep, he's made it go deeper than any other line. It's beyond cosmeceutical. It is a cosmeceutical grade, but it's like he did cosmeceutical without putting any medicines in it.
What's this other word that they've done? It's the other sciencey word.
Microfluidization. So he has a patent on the water. So he owns the water basically for this. And he also owns the giant byungpool. That's patents on that, and the microfluidization. So he creates very small liposomes, nano-sized liposomes of the entire product line for the radiosome. It's the only skincare line that has 100% microfluidization, basically a small liposome of everything. They usually take a product and say there's liposomal technology, and they liposome the vitamin C in it. They liposome the peptide in it. you know, but the whole thing isn't that. So some of the things penetrate, but the other things just sit on top. His, it's all made so small, it all goes past the multiple layers of the dermis because he's made it so small. And why you make multiple layers, why you double wash, is so you're preparing it so everything can go deep into the layers of the skin. And then the layer and the booster and the creams, boom, 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 they go deeper, 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 and then cause all the regeneration and healing from many layers inside, not just sitting on top. And that's what most of the things are doing. So he has the only microfluidization, 100%. No other, there's no other line on the earth that does that. No other line has the Jeju water. And the health of all cosmetic products, the quality of it is determined back to the water. So why are so many your Target, Amazon crap and your Walmart crap? They're just using tap water. They're using chlorine.
Water is the biggest issue, right? We just
water is the biggest issue. So 80%.
Yes, Kimberly, 80%, I will be sharing a link.
80% of all cosmetic products is water. And it's this water is healing water. The water itself is anti-inflammatory. The water itself is causing pain, inflammation. I had somebody just mention it in one of my chats, and I have thousands of planners and thousands of customers on my team. And she said, listen, we just had a booth and we just let people try the hand cream, the Swamel, which that has a patented ingredient in desert cola as well. And they came back and the guy had such bad arthritis. He hadn't been able to do this. He came back. He's like, why can't I open my hands? He's, I haven't been able to do this. But what's in that cream? And they're like, we don't know what's in the cream. we didn't know it could do that. Yeah, because it's super anti-inflammatory. I can believe it. Like the products go that deep. So we're not saying it's going to make pain in your hands go away. It's tissue regeneration. But the fact it didn't surprise me at all. Knowing what I know now about the water. I said the next thing I want to be on auto ship is a damn water. I want to drink it. Because I was drinking it there the whole time. They had their own bottles and they're like, well, we drink it all day. We're like, what? And we were drinking that water. And I felt completely different, like in many, many ways. I came back like, I need that water. Like what we need to auto ship the water. Yeah. Like, how do we get the water? And you don't have to put much. Cause like if you have a whole thing, they just put a little bit in the water. And so they filter the water, and the water they're pulling out, they drink water and they bring the concentrated. It'd be like kind of like Kingtown water, like what they do. So I'm like, we need the water more. So they're drinking it all day long. We don't get that here. Yeah. The Remon staff, they get it. Like it's a thing over there. Yeah.
So tell us, I mean, there's so much, we go into so much more and, definitely.
But that's an overview of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us they're doing amazing deals all week. I've seen them.
Oh, right.
I'm so excited, but tell us what tomorrow is.
Tomorrow's a really good one. Tomorrow's the hair. No, tomorrow's the hair.
Okay.
It's
I'm gonna need you to place an order for me, okay? I'm gonna give you my info. You're gonna have to place my order for me.
Yeah, because it's 10 a.m. Pacific time here.
Yes, like I'm long asleep by then. That's the middle of my night, and then it's sold out. So we got to sort something out.
We put a stop to it today. There's a limit tomorrow of 3 for everybody, so we're not gonna.
I need all the hair care.
Okay, hang on. So what it is what the Black Friday bundles are really great because they're designed to be tomorrow the 26th, right? I'm gonna I'll make sure I'm gonna put it in the WhatsApp for you to see it as well. But I'm gonna tell you. So it's designed to get like gifts for people. That's what the Black Friday bundles are kind of like. Listen, so then you buy presents. So you get for $116 US. And it's $160 value. You get
16, yeah.
The Swamel self-care set. So you get the body lotion and the body wash and with a bag. You can give that as a gift to somebody. And you get the Desert Cola hair care set. You get the shampoo and the water conditioner.
You get all of that for 116?
Water treatment and you see what I'm saying? So they're technically like 3 gifts. So you get 3 gift bags. So their point is like that you can give them as gifts, the teacher gifts and the, and whatever. But so
you get all of that tomorrow. I'm going to message you.
Okay. You message me. And then if you're the doorbusters, so every day is a new thing. If you're one of the first, however many, we don't know how many, you get a free Rimka satin pillowcase. The first few people who get in the order. So there's that. That's tomorrow. The next day, where's that picture? So there's every day. Yeah, today sold out really fast. But that was because people were coming in and buying way too much. We were like, can we limit it? So all the directors were like, can we stop people from buying 20 at a time? Like, so I appreciate you, but can we let everybody get a chance? So today was the $96. Tomorrow, then the next day, this one is the best value, like for what you get. It's $210, but you're getting it. They're calling it the Boo Winter Essential. So you're getting the Pure Cell Cleansing Oil, the Active Cleanup Powder, the Booster Serum, and the cream, and you get a free Vieton oil mist, and then a free fan if you get the doorbuster. So that's a good one.
I'm going to post these in the group every day, so you guys know what's coming the following day.
Did I give you all the pictures? Did I give you everything?
I think so.
Okay,
so
good.
I'll post them in the group. And
I'm excited about the travel kits. I love the
I definitely want the travel kits too. Yeah. I just need to make sure that they're not all gone by the time I wake up. So I need to tell you what I want and maybe just give you my account.
You tell me,
You can just place the orders.
Yeah, give me what you need. Yeah.
So yes, definitely, like, we'll post the links. I'm really obsessed with this stuff.
It's so good. I'll add this. So so we're talking about toxins. I mean to interrupt, but I'm like, I didn't say it. So Korea is banning 3,000 chemicals that they use in American beauty products, 1,500 more than Europe is banning. So it follows European Union standards, then some. Like, they're well beyond that. They're well beyond EWG. And EWG, a lot of people want to go into environmental working group. They were kind of bought and paid for, so they're really not the best resource anyway. So they're not listed on EWG because you have to pay money for all of that now. So it's like a bought and paid for thing. But if you listed each thing, we show up never past a 2 on each ingredient. And you have to understand this. Sometimes Americans want to look up an ingredient in this list and they think they know what it is, but it's not. It's not made in Korea the way we make it here. They go, well, that's a petroleum product. Not in Korea, it's not. He got it from a lemon, but here we make it from. So it's different. And it took a little bit. People say, oh, but that's a peg. Actually, no, it's not. It's actually different because it's that. They make it from this, not from this. So how things are done in Korea are not the same as they are done in America. They have completely different standards. It's kind of like Captain Crunch. Now, I'm not saying Captain Crunch is a good thing to eat, but Captain Crunch in Italy is not Captain Crunch in America. Like, they're not the same. So it's not, it's just not, I don't know, like Mott's applesauce. Like, there's like the ingredients are this big and then they're this big. So you have to be careful when I've had people come at me and I'm like, I don't think you know how to read properly. Let me break down the word for you. And they're like, oh my, because they jumped to the gun and they thought it was, oh my God, that's this. No, it's not. Let me, and it's made differently. It's kind of like, it's not sourced from petroleum. It's sourced from this. It's made from this, not from this. So we take a lot of shortcuts in America and we don't really care. We have no quality safety control on any, like none. There's like none on beauty products. Like, they can do anything. It's shocking. We know, like, they can sell Botox, so they really can do anything they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I have a couple questions. I'm going to stay and answer them. I'm going to let you go because I know it's super late for you.
You got them. You're good with whatever.
For an hour, 45 minutes. But thank you so much. I'm so excited. On our next call, which the next call with Dr. Rimka is going
It's Monday, right?
Yeah. So it's next Monday night. So, the 2nd in Cyber Monday, the 2nd in the United States.
And it's still like 9 p.m. this time for me, right? Like, it's the same time.
Yep. Same time.
Okay.
And we're going to be talking about methylation pathways and peptides. So that one you definitely don't want to miss. I'm really excited for that. So come back for Dr. Rimka.
It'll make sense. All the mold and the breath, like, we'll actually still tie some of this all through that. It'll make sense. Yeah.
All right.
Well, I hope it was helpful.
Amazing as usual. Thank you.
Happy early birthday. Well, is the 2nd your birthday or is the 1st?
The 1st is my birthday.
Okay. So I'll be a little, whatever. Okay. Yeah. Yay, happy early birthday and happy all the early Black Fridays, and congratulations on your new, longevity health hub, whatever all the things are, whatever this is, this new
Yeah.
podcast thingy that you're doing.
I'm so excited. All things health, wellness, and longevity.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, we'll bring it with the peptides and we'll talk about how we're going to get rid of the gray hair. Okay.
Amazing.
Okay. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Ciao, ciao. So Kathy, I want to answer your question about herbal face food because as you guys know, thanks, honey. As you guys know, I have been a huge herbal face food advocate and fanatic. I've been using herbal face food for about a year and, well, over a year now, actually. And yeah, like I absolutely loved herbal face food. Also was huge in Korea, by the way. I love herbal face food and I had incredible results from herbal face food as far as skin resurfacing, texture, getting rid of melasma. But what I can tell you, herbal face food is incredibly expensive. And I was just like, never wanted to try anything. And here's the real truth of this. If Dr. Rimka hadn't actually sent me she sent me the product. She sent me like all the product and was just like, just try it. If that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have ever tried Rimon because I loved herbal face food so much. And so, but I got the product and I was like, okay, I'm going to try it. And I just happened to be running out of some of my herbal face food stuff. So it was like perfect timing. And so I was like, all right, I'm just going to give this a go. And I was like, I'm going to give it a go for a week and I'm going to see. And if it's not awesome, then whatever. I feel like the results I've gotten from Rimon in the 5 weeks are the results that I got. Like I've gotten the level of shift and change in my face in 5 weeks was what it took me a year to get with herbal face food. And I still love herbal face food. Like I can't say I don't love it. I still like, I'm going to figure out how to like bring it back into the routine, but I have only been using Rimon for the last 5 weeks because I really wanted to see. The hydration in my skin is amazing. It's definitely like so much more penetrating. I just think the overall texture and the sun damage reversal is wild. Like I have very few freckles on my cheeks now. It's just gotten rid of so much. And the fine lines and wrinkles, like that herbal face food really wasn't like after a year, I felt like I was at a plateaued place of like what it was going to do for me. Right. And so it was just like, took me to the next level, the Rimon, I guess is what I'm saying. Like I had a lot of incredible results from herbal face food. I love herbal face food, but this was just kind of a next level reverse aging. And that's really what I'm all about right now. Like I want everything I want to be doing and putting on my skin and in my body. I want the purpose to be reverse aging. And so that's the whole purpose of this week. Like I'm going to be sharing with you all the things that I'm doing, like different biohacking devices that I'm using, different like non-transdermal patches that I'm using, like biofeedback devices, like so much that I'm doing. Like that's the whole purpose of this, is to share what I'm doing that's actually creating reverse aging, not just preventative aging, if that makes sense. And so for me, like Rimon totally falls into that. And I am blown away by the hair care. I'm blown away by the skincare. So with that, I will conclude today's session. I'm so excited. Tomorrow, I'm being joined by my friend Jennifer McKinney, and we are going to be talking all about weight loss. She is a high performance coach that's lost 162 pounds. We are going to, we're going to be talking about weight loss and Jesus and probably Mark Cuban, and just a bunch of other things. It's going to be a great session. But she just has a really, really inspirational story. And we're going to be talking about weight loss and our journeys with that. So that should make for a really great call. Same time as this one tomorrow. Check the group for more information. If you have not joined the group, you definitely want to do that. Longevity Lounge, you can send me a message and I can get you the link for that. And yeah, so with that, I will say thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you got massive value from Dr. Rimka. I always love chatting with her and learning from her. I'm super happy that you said yes and came and joined this session with us. And there's lots more exciting calls and interviews and sessions to come this week. So ciao, ciao. Have an amazing rest of your day, morning, evening, wherever you are in the world as you're catching this call live or you're watching the replay. Have a blessed and beautiful day.